Strength and honor.
Strength and honor.
Strength and honor.
At my signal, unleash hell.
What up, y'all? It's Devin with UPTV, aka the Dot Connector, and time is running out. It is my 100% belief that the Most High Yahweh is revealing to his children that the end is soon near. Matthew chapter 24 verse 3 through 8 says, "Now, as he said on the Mount of Olives, the disciples came to him privately, saying, 'Tell us, when will these things be, and what will be the sign of your coming in the end of the age?' And Jesus answered and said to them, 'Take heed, no one deceives you, for many will come in my name, saying, I am the Christ, and will deceive many, and you will hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you are not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there will be famines, pestilences, and earthquakes in various places. All these are the beginning of sorrows.'" When reading these verses, it is clear that all these things are happening in the world today, from natural disasters to major wars and even the rise of false prophets. It is no doubt in my mind that these are indeed the days Jesus was speaking of. And while no man knows the day or the hour, Jesus certainly gave us the signs to look for so we can identify the season when it arrived. And while many Christians love to say that Christ will come back like a thief in the night, Paul also makes it clear that as Christians, that day should not surprise you like a thief in the night, because you are awake, you're prepared, and you are watching for the signs. 1 Thessalonians chapter 5 verse 1 through 6 says, "But concerning the times and the seasons, brethren, you have no need that I should write to you, for you yourselves know perfectly that that day of the Lord so comes as a thief in the night. For when they say peace and safety, then sudden destruction comes upon them as labor pains upon a pregnant woman, and they shall not escape. But you, brethren, are not in darkness, so that day should not overtake you as a thief." So today on UPTV, we're going to be taking a look at some of the most recent signs of the times. My name is Devin Worlds, and this is my current list of 7 recent signs that prove the end is near.
This marks the beginning of our 7 years of peace, of 7 years.
This marks the beginning of the rise of the Antichrist. He will control 10 kingdoms, which in turn will control the world. The Antichrist will sit in the temple of God, and he will declare to the whole world that he is God.
Family, I'm very concerned about food shortages coming to America. No, not local or short-lived shortages. I'm talking about a national food shortage that will affect everyone, everywhere, for a very long time. Would you be ready if that happened? Probably not. That's why I urge you to get some long-term storage emergency food from my friends at My Patriot Supply. They're the original Patriot Survival Company. Over the past decade, they've served millions of American families like yours. Their mission is your survival, and right now you can save 25% on a 4-week kit of emergency food that will save the day, probably soon. This 4-week kit has a wide variety of delicious food that provides over 2,000 calories per day, the right amount for optimum survival. Go to UPTVsurvival.com so you can claim your 4-week emergency food kit and save 25% in the process. Order a tasty starter kit for each member of the family, and they'll ship everything quickly and discreetly to your door. That's UPTVsurvival.com. Jesus makes it clear that in the end times, many false prophets will rise and lead many astray. He even stated that many will come in his name claiming, "I am the Christ." They do this in the entertainment industry as a way to mock God. In the music industry, many artists have made albums with the words "I am" highlighted in the title. This is because when Moses asked God what he should say to the children of Israel if they asked him what his name is, God replied by saying, "I am that I am." So you should say to the children of Israel that I am has sent me to you. New Agers also say that they are Christ by claiming that Christ is not a person or a man that once lived, but a state of consciousness that is only accessed by activating your 7 chakras. And once you achieve this for yourself, you will become just like Jesus, Christ-like. You will be a God. There are close to 2 billion Muslims in the world, and right now they are all awaiting for a man to come known as the 12th Imam. The 12th Imam, or who is commonly known as the Mahdi, is a Christ-like figure who will come to save them in the end times. The Mahdi's name means the guided one or awaited savior, but as many Christians have pointed out before, everything about the Mahdi eerily matches up with the biblical Antichrist. For example, it is said that he'll ride on a white horse. It is also predicted that he will create a 7-year peace treaty with the Jewish Levite, and he'll also perform many signs and wonders.
See, Islamic theology talks about this one who rides on a white horse. By the way, when he arrives, he finds hidden scriptures of all places, Islamic theology says, in Galilee, in Israel. He finds hidden scriptures that the Christians and Jews didn't know about, and it gets them all realizing he's the right one. Well, if I gave you a summary of the Muslim Mahdi, he's just like Revelation 13. This Islamic future one coming is a messianic figure. He's a descendant of Muhammad. He's an unparalleled, unequaled leader. He will come out of a crisis. He will destroy everyone who resists him. And if that sounds familiar, it's a precise description of the biblical Antichrist.
But while many Muslims await for the arrival of the 12th Imam, many Jews have been patiently awaiting for their Messiah to arrive. Jewish rabbis have been saying for years that their Messiah will soon return. Some rabbis are even claiming that he is already here, and many Christians suspect that it may be a man known as Yanuka Rav Shlomo Yehuda. The Yanuka is a man who has managed to remember the whole Torah, and because of this, he has gained a huge following in Israel, with many Jews and rabbis going straight to him for knowledge and wisdom. Some Jews have even claimed that he has the ability to perform miracles. While I don't personally believe that he is the Antichrist, and I think it's too early to call him a false prophet or false Messiah, I do believe we should keep a close eye on the Yanuka and whoever else may soon rise up as a prominent figure in Israel.
Now, I want to show you something very, very interesting. The so-called Yanuka, which they have labeled him, the older Jewish rabbis have labeled him, is about to light this in the middle here. It's going to light it on fire. Here he is. The Yanuka is what they call him. The Jewish rabbis have labeled him that. And I want to show you something very, very interesting and get your opinion on what is actually taking place here. What exactly is going on? Look at the fire. Watch the fire. Look at it. What is this? Do you see that? Do you see that, family? Look. It's flying up out of the fire. It looks like somebody with their hands up, to be honest. To be quite honest, it looks like somebody with their hands up. Very, very strange. I'll show you one more time. Now, it looks very strange what the fire is actually doing as well. If you take a look at the behavior of the fire, it is not normal. It is doing something very strange.
Revelation chapter 16 verse 12 says, "And the 6th angel poured out his vial upon the great river Euphrates, and the water was dried up, that the way of the kings of the east might be prepared."
Millions in Syria and Iraq are facing water shortages as the region's longest river, the Euphrates, dries up.
There are many signs that reveal that the end is near. But no sign may be more frightening than the fact that as each day passes, the Euphrates River is drying up. The Euphrates River is actually considered one of the longest rivers in the world. So when you take into consideration that it's almost completely dry, then there is no doubt that this is a biblical sign of the times. Not only has the Euphrates dried up, but the decline of water levels at the Euphrates Dam Lake in eastern Syria recently revealed a large archaeological burial site.
Only in the last few years the river water was almost completely drying up. In addition, the man also showed an ancient tunnel that leads to the underground with a very perfect building structure, and even has stairs that are neatly arranged and are still intact to this day.
But the drying up of the Euphrates isn't the only thing John warns us about this river in the book of Revelation. He also reveals that 4 fallen angels are kept bound in the great river Euphrates. Revelation chapter 9 verse 14 says, saying to the 6th angel, which had the trumpet, loose the 4 angels which are bound in the great river Euphrates. And what's even more creepy is John goes on in verse 15 to tell us that these 4 angels will be released to slay a third of mankind. This translates to about 2.6 billion people on the planet who will be killed by these 4 fallen angels. Revelation chapter 9 verse 15 says, and the 4 angels were loose, which were prepared for an hour, and day, and a month, and a year, for to slay the third part of man. But if that isn't spooky enough, someone is claiming to have heard the voices of the fallen angels who are currently bound under the Euphrates, and he recorded it so the world can hear it as well.
Are they crying for help? You can hear the chains rattling below.
In the Bible, mockers and scoffers are often mentioned in association with the end times. For example, in 2 Peter chapter 3 verse 3 through 4, it says, in the last days, scoffers will come scoffing and following their own evil desires. They will say, where is this coming he promised? Ever since our ancestors died, everything goes on as it has since the beginning of creation. In this passage, the Apostle Peter is warning that in the end times, there will be those who will mock and scoff at the ideal of Jesus' return and the end of the world. They will reject the ideal and ridicule those who believe in it.
I just am definitely questioning why we have to perpetuate a belief that is silly. Because I'll be honest with you, bro, Jesus Christ.
Similar themes can be found through the New Testament. Jude chapter 1 verse 18 says, in the last time there will be scoffers who will follow their own ungodly desires. It is these people who cause divisions, worldly people, devoid of the Spirit. In the Bible, the presence of mockers and scoffers is presented as a sign that the end times are near and that people should be ready for the return of Jesus. It is also a warning that those who mock and scoff at the message of God's coming judgment will ultimately be held accountable for their actions. It should be no surprise that we see this happening with people in our personal lives, but also with many prominent people in the world. Here are just a few examples of people mocking God, Christians, the gospel, and or totally teaching false doctrine.
It is directly a result of what you do today. The number is down because we brought the number down. God did not do that. Fate did not do that. Destiny did not do that. A lot of pain and suffering did that.
Controversy tonight over a film that depicts Jesus as a gay man.
A petition to ban it from Netflix has generated millions of signatures. KPIX5's Andrea Nakano with some reaction tonight.
It's called The First Temptation of Christ, and it's on Netflix, but there is a petition on change.org with more than 2 million signatures, and it wants the parody removed from the streaming channel.
You cannot sit back and wait for a savior. You can't opt out because you don't feel sufficiently inspired by this or that particular candidate. This is not a rock concert. This is not Coachella. We don't need a Messiah. All we need are decent, honest, hardworking people who are accountable.
Revelation chapter 16 verse 3 says, the second angel poured out his bowl on the sea, and it turned into blood like that of a dead person, and every living thing in the sea died. In recent years, there have been reports of rivers and other bodies of water turning red in various parts of the world. Some of the causes for this have been identified as natural occurrences, like algae blooms or red tides, but in other cases, the cause has remained a mystery. This phenomenon of rivers turning red has led some people to believe that it could be a sign of the end times, as described in the Bible. In the book of Revelation, it is said that there will be great signs and wonders that will occur in the end times, and some interpret the turning of the rivers to blood as one of these signs. Revelation chapter 16 verse 4 says, "The third angel poured out his bowl on the rivers and springs of water, and they became blood."
Residents of a barangay in Laguna saw their river turn to the color of blood over the weekend. Let's get the rest of the story from Shaila
The
Francisco.
scene looked like it was taken off the Bible, when the River Nile was turned to blood in the time of Moses. Residents of Barangay Sorosoro in Laguna witnessed for the first time how a nearby river turned red on Sunday.
Whatever the reason for the rivers turning red, it's a reminder that we are living in a world that is constantly changing, and that this may just be a sign that these are the end of days.
Serious? Are you serious? The water's turning red. The water's turning red like blood. Are you serious? Something biblical is going on with the signs of the second coming of Christ.
In the days of Noah, animals showed up to the ark in pairs of two, a male and a female. In those times, many people must have wondered why the animals were behaving like this. Some people probably even thought of some explanation for how Noah himself was causing this to happen. Matthew chapter 24 verse 37 says, "As it was in the days of Noah, so it will be at the coming of the Son of Man." In recent years, animals have been caught behaving in some pretty strange ways, but there is one recent event that even science can't fully explain. In China, somewhere in Mongolia, a flock of sheep was caught on camera walking aimlessly in circles. At the time of this recording, there is no proven explanation for why hundreds of sheep were wandering in circles for 10 days straight. This phenomenon was also observed in Russia when a herd of reindeer were caught doing the exact same thing as the sheep in China. And in Chile, several fish was also recorded mimicking the same behavior. Is it possible that this can be a sign that Jesus will be returning soon? Acts chapter 2 verse 9 says, "I will display wonders in the skies above and signs on the earth below, blood, fire, and vapor of smoke."
What the heck's going on here? Dozens of sheep have been eerily walking around in a perfect circle for 12 days straight. Where? In China. Now, is it aliens? We don't know. Have they been brainwashed by the liberal media? We don't know. Nobody seems to know while they're walking in circles. So, Will Kane, what is this?
The next pandemic. I mean,
Yeah.
this is, yeah.
Absolutely,
Look at you.
it's
Yes.
China. That's the answer.
It's apocalypse.
Wow.
It's
Then
stay away.
sheep.
It's get back, Waters. Get away from whatever's happening on that screen right
I'm
there.
going to cancel my trip to Beijing. Harris, what about you?
Can we catch it? I mean, just
If you have
mean
lamb
that.
chops.
Not from watching. Do you have to like eat it and?
What, you talking about the bacteria they're supposed to have or whatever they've got?
Listeriosis? Can you? Is it? You know, because then would we get it and would we start circling?
As technology continues to advance every day, many of the most prominent people in the tech industry believe that we are quickly approaching a time called the singularity, a time when they say that AI will start to upgrade itself so rapidly that everything after that point will shift forever. Ray Kurzweil, an American computer scientist, author, inventor, and futurist, predicted that the technological singularity will happen in the year 2045, while most recently Marco Trombetti, the CEO of an Italian AI startup, and a group of scientists are now claiming that the singularity will actually occur in the year 2030. The advancement of technology has clearly made it possible for many biblical prophecies that once seemed impossible to come true. Matthew chapter 24 verse 14 says, "In this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all of the world for a witness unto all nations, and then shall the end come." It's not very difficult to see just how the television, the radio, and the internet is making it possible for the gospel to be preached around the whole world. Right now, there are thousands of Christian creators on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram that are sharing the gospel with the world every single day. At one point, it seemed to be impossible that a one world leader known to many Christians as the Antichrist could rise up and force the whole world to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. But in today's world, it's not only possible, but some Christians believe that it's already happening. Revelation chapter 13 verse 16 through 17 says, "And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name." With smart technology like the RFID chip, the Neuralink, and digital tattoos, the Antichrist could easily force a united one world to receive his mark, especially if the technology is already being used by millions around the world.
I call myself Chip Girl because I have an RFID chip inside of my hand that unlocks things around our house. Today somebody asked me what I can open with my hand, so I'm going to show you. This is also a door that it opens. We've also got that door's a little bit harder to open, but we've got a snack cupboard. We've got another door that it opens. It also opens our bedroom door, as well as our office, as well as the drawers in our office. This is our nightstand, which can also be opened with a chip. Our closet is chipped. And this is really cool. We can chip all of the doors. Look at it. We can even lock up our towels. See? What the? So chip lock my makeup room. Chip guy has an even cooler chip. He's got a dual chip, and he can hold information like a website or a social media page. Okay, back to unlocking things. Here's another door that we can chip. This is another chip to get into our summer closet, and another door. We also chipped the gym and the elevator. What the tech? Oh, whoops.
War and rumors of wars, a fragile and failing financial system, and a major food crisis. All of these are telltale signs that some would consider as clear evidence that the world is heading straight for a day of reckoning, a day when all of civilization will collapse. In the Bible, there are several passages that speak of a time of great tribulation in which the world as we know it will come to an end. One of the key characteristics of this period is the collapse of society as a whole. This collapse is often described as being brought on by war, famine, and widespread suffering. One of the most notable passages that describe this collapse is found in the book of Revelation, in which it is written that, "When he opened the fourth seal, I heard the voice of the fourth living creature say, 'Come,' and I looked, and behold, a pale horse, and its rider's name was Death, and Hades followed him. And they were given authority over a fourth of the earth to kill with the sword, and with famine, and with pestilence, and by wild beasts of the earth." This passage is often interpreted to mean that 1/4 of the world's population will die as a result of war, famine, and disease, which would be a huge collapse of the population. In addition to the passages from the Bible, there are many current signs that the world may be heading towards a total societal collapse. These include increasing inequality, political and social unrest, economic instability, environmental degradation, and the spread of new infectious diseases.
Well, the Biden administration has just proved that they are complete and utter nonsensical, tyrannical idiots who are in charge of our country. And I mean that in the most nicest of ways. And I'm saying that because right now, rumors are abounding of a bank run right here in the United States of America as well. One of our leading banks, Silicon Valley Bank, is now collapsing and literally has been taken over. Take a look at what I'm talking about here. And this is really huge breaking news. But this is on businessorganlive.com. Silicon Valley Bank seized by regulators in the biggest bank failure since the Great Recession.
The war in Ukraine exacerbating global food insecurity. Last week, the Biden administration announced 3 new partnerships in an effort to boost Ukraine's agricultural sector and help supply the country's grain to the world.
We've got to do 2 things at once. Get food to the hungry now, but also help countries build up their agricultural productivity and resilience.
The conflict directly hitting supplies of critical foodstuffs like wheat, corn, and sunflower oil, while also impacting global agricultural production.
The 40-year high inflation rate is worsening homelessness in America. According to a Washington Post article, shelters across the country are reporting an increase in numbers of people looking for help. Rents are continuing to rise at the fastest pace in decades. One of the scientists responsible for developing the AstraZeneca vaccine here in Britain has warned that a future pandemic could be more contagious or even more lethal. Professor Dame Sarah Gilbert said funding was needed to ensure the knowledge gained over the last 2 years in fighting deadly viruses wasn't lost. On the Omicron variant, she said steps should be taken to slow its spread until more is known about it. Mark Lobel reports.
A stark warning from the creator of the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine that the advances made could be lost without more funding for future pandemics.
This will not be the last time a virus threatens our lives and our livelihoods. The truth is, the next one could be worse. It could be more contagious or more lethal or both.
In conclusion, the current societal collapse that we are experiencing may or may not be linked to the end-time prophecies. However, it's important to be aware of the current signs and the potential impact on our lives, and we should also strive for solutions for the betterment of society and humanity.
Bank of America and everybody's missing money. I'm also missing money, over $1,300, and they're telling me to call customer service, and they keep hanging up on people. This another person here is also missing money. So we're trying to see what's going on. Money's missing today, and we need our money, and they're already telling us to call customer service. And customer service ain't doing nothing about it. So just a heads up, if anybody's experiencing this, please let us know, because this is not right. I'm missing $1,400 from my account, and they're telling me that there's no way they can help us. This guy's missing money too. This other person is missing money too. And you missing money too? There you go. So this is not something that's just one person. This is everybody's happening to them. And this is crazy. This is very crazy. Yes, Bank of America decided to take people's money without their consent. And we're asking what's going on, and they're giving us a runaround. Everybody for the same thing, man. Same thing.
Blood rivers, technology that may indeed be the mark of the beast, and the total societal collapse are just a few signs that may indicate that the world as we know it may soon come to an end. But what are your thoughts? And other than the 7 mentioned in today's video, what are some biblical signs you recently noticed being fulfilled in today's world? Sound off in the comment section and let me know. And because there will be no UpTV without viewers like you, I would like to give a special shout out to anyone who has donated to or supported the channel in any type of way. This is Devin with UpTV. I love you, family. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Also hit that bell so you get notified anytime I upload a new video. And as always, give your life to Yeshua, and I'll holla at y'all later. Peace.
And of course, now look at our country now that it has been prosperous and has developed. It seems like that this country is doing everything that they can to get away from God. But we didn't start out that way. You know, the spirit of the Antichrist is in the world already. I believe the President of the United States has the spirit of Antichrist. Not saying he's not a bad person, but a lot of his stance and positions is anti-Christ. You know, the fact that he got up and stated that civil unions ought to be recognized, same-sex marriages ought to be recognized, all these kinds of things, is anti-Christ. And so he has a spirit of anti-Christ, and this country and this world has a spirit of antichrist. Well, it's no surprising, because the devil is the god of this world. He's the prince of the power of the air. So as we go along, you're going to see more and more expressed in the media, you know, expressed through all types of media means to promote sin. But I think it's our responsibility to preach the gospel, preach against sin, and point people to Jesus.
Thank you for watching UpTV. If you like this video and would love to see more, check out these great videos here, and don't forget to subscribe to UpTV and UpTV2 for even more great videos.